Today, we are joined by Sarah Gardner, the powerhouse behind the HEAT initiative. Her team has been taking on tech giants like Apple and Meta, holding them accountable for their failures to protect kids. In this episode, we'll dig into the impact that HEAT initiative is making and how all of us can join the fight. Sarah, I have been so excited to talk with you. Thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
For those who don't know, which would be wild, how do you not know? But for those who don't know, tell us about yourself, how you got here, and what you and your team are doing at HEAT Initiative.
Thank you. Yes. So I have worked in the online child safety space. It's going to be 15 years soon. And I came to this work through the lens of wanting to work on human rights, particularly related to women and girls. And that took me down an education of learning about domestic minor sex trafficking in the US and abroad. And then there was this moment in like the 2008, 9, 10 era time period where it became very clear that the internet and technology was sort of supercharging lots of really good things in our lives, like connectivity amongst, family and friends and all these things. But it was also supercharging, unfortunately, a lot of really dark, sad things in our lives. Child sexual abuse, people's ability to connect with people with that same interest. Also allowing, pimps and traffickers to use websites to promote girls that they, are in control of in many ways. So that intersection of technology and online child sexual abuse was sort of new at that time and undiscovered. And I had an opportunity to go work for an organization called Thorn, which I took and worked there for over a decade. And what I appreciate about my time there, so that organization builds technology to combat online child sexual abuse. And the thing that was so enriching and powerful about that experience was all the different people I got to work with. So both getting to know law enforcement and how they manage and attack this problem, companies and private industry, how are they approaching this issue, survivors, how can we listen to them and learn about what's needed and empower their voices and listen to their strategies, other organizations. So that was a very powerful blend of experiences, but also I learned the technology. So I spent time with engineers, with product folks, with data science. And when you have that kind of informal technical education, what's super exciting and empowering about it is that then when the tech companies are saying, well, we can only do this or we can only do that, you actually know what they're capable of doing or not doing and how they would fix something or not. And so you can kind of call them out and know when they're lying or know when they're being truthful about their technical capabilities. So just to wrap this up, after spending a decade there became a moment towards the end of my time there where it felt like a lot of private companies we were talking to would be willing to do like one or two things that were needed to protect kids online, but the last, call it two other things that were always the most important. Like this was the thing that would be like the game-changing thing. That was always a bridge too far. And the reason is because it often conflicts with the business. It's expensive. It involves other teams beyond trust and safety. And we were never going to get everything we needed voluntarily. We were exhausting the carrots and that's a really important role, bringing people along, changing folks from the inside, empowering people who have really smart ideas about how to do it within these companies, like is an extremely important role. Yeah. What is also needed and important is this burgeoning, blossoming movement we have now of demanding the change, the sticks, saying we have to have it, we won't go without it. And if you look at any powerful industries of the past, big oil, pharmaceuticals, automobile, there's always been this moment in time where they've gotten to be so big and powerful, and they've needed to have safeguards imposed upon them, and we're in that moment with big tech. And so now Heat Initiative is a outside aggressive advocacy organization that is trying to push the boundaries of demanding the change, honestly, to help empower the inside change to happen.
We're going to clip that. We're going to clip that and put that everywhere.
Great.
Um,
Thank you.
so
And
you
you're
state
creating the movement too. So thank you for that, because that's a big part of this. People have not been aware, and you are making them aware. And I'm incredibly grateful for your work.
every time I go to speak, I make sure to include two slides, one of which shows how Apple's parental controls are broken, as reported on by entities that have nothing to do with me or Bark or anybody with a
100%.
vested interest. So I just let them know, hey, there's this, right? And they have the resources and the know how to fix them, and they don't. And with every update, things get re-wonky again. So there's that. And then I also make sure everybody knows that Apple was going to and had the opportunity to identify and remove child sexual abuse material from iCloud, and they walked that back. And so everybody needs to know that. And I will not stop making people aware of that because they have no idea.
I know. It's crazy.
So you state on your website, at Heat Initiative, we believe big tech's inaction is due in part to a lack of pressure. I support that. That's why we're targeting companies with demonstrated negligence around child sexual abuse. And I have to interject here with the fact that if there was a cereal in the world that was causing children to get sick, it would be immediately pulled from shelves as soon as enough children had gotten sick and it was attributed back to that cereal. Or if there was a faulty bike or stroller, you name it, it would be pulled off shelves. But because of immunity, essentially, that the law gives these big tech companies, they don't have to do anything. So we're going to get into more of that in a minute. But before we get into some of the nuances, who are these big tech companies that you're targeting?
Yeah. So this is a really important part of the puzzle for us, because we chose Apple on purpose to start with for a few different reasons. Primarily because they had done the best job of evading their responsibility of what role they play in children experiencing online harms. So everyone's mind first goes to the social media platform where the harm occurs, and that's not wrong, right? Because it's sometimes the most obvious. The Snap, the TikTok, that's where some of the interaction takes place, absolutely. But if you think about and sort of pull back for a second, the phone is the delivery mechanism for the harm.
Yep.
And what Apple has done is done an incredible job of pretending that they are not part of the ecosystem that delivers this harm to your child, and in fact that they are like completely out of your child's life in every way, shape, and form, minus some small amount of parental controls that, to your point, don't work, and like screen time's been broken forever. And here Apple is the fourth most valuable company in the world, and they can't fix screen time, which continues to perplex all of us. So you have to ask yourself, well, what else is happening here? Like, why are they not leaning in? Right? And the reason they weren't leaning in is because they realized that once people understand what life could look like with a phone that actually knows it's attached to a minor, or like that, the phone, a smartphone like an iPhone, isn't even appropriate for anyone under insert an age that feels right to you, they will have a lot more work to do. And all of a sudden they will be held to account the way we are now trying to hold the Metas and the Googles and the Snaps. And so that means time and money and lawsuits and the variety of things they want to avoid. So they avoided that for years. And I can speak to this because I was there to be fair to the other tech companies, they were at least at the table over the last 10 years trying to learn or listen and understand. I'm not defending them. I don't think they all have major work to do, but they have been in the room having the conversations. Apple was never there. Apple was not a part of the conversation. And this is a company that is hosting, what is it, like 87% of US American teens have iPhones. All of our video and images are taken on our iPhone or stored in the iCloud. Like, to pretend that you're not a part of that ecosystem, iMessage is a way that millions and millions of teenagers are communicating every day, is just crazy and negligent. And so they were missing from the conversation, and the sort of pinnacle of the negligence was what you described, which was that when they sort of dared to put their toe in, and they did make some changes around like warning messages and kids being able to get help.
Communication safety, yeah.
Yes, but and this is in their own words, like, to acknowledge that child sexual abuse material was a problem, to say the word they always use is abhorrent. It's an abhorrent crime. It's an abhorrent issue. And then they were like, well, we're going to do something about it. We're going to detect it. I mean, that sent shockwaves through the field. It was so exciting that they had even acknowledged it, that they were going to take action on it. And then, to your point, they ended up not only even not doing it, they also never came back with a solution. They said they talked to child sexual abuse survivors. I still have yet to meet a single survivor of child sexual abuse material who Apple has spoken to and gotten input on this from. And this all culminated for me. So that was when things started to feel wrong, that like the most powerful company in the world would say and acknowledge that there was this really bad problem that they were a part of, say they were going to do something about it, change their mind, not do anything, and then nothing happens. Like, that is a dangerous place. And I ran into someone who worked at Apple not long after that happened, and I said, like, someone's going to come after you. Can't say this and put this line in the sand and then not do anything and not have anything happen. And they were like, no, they're not. No one's coming after us. Like, nothing's going to happen. And that was literally the moment that I decided to leave my job, because I was like, it's me and a group of people who are now going to come together and fight this fight. Because if that's not injustice, I don't know what is.
If the power plant down the street was dumping toxic materials into the water supply and it was causing us all to get sick, there'd be a clear path, right, of retaliation and a lot, right?
Yes.
But you mentioned that one of the reasons why Apple doesn't want to touch this is expense. That is not a blocker for them. They can absolutely afford to do this. And so I'm just, every time I really sit and deeply think about it, and this is your everyday work, so I don't know how you do it, but how can anybody work there with a clear conscience, knowing that this is happening on their platform? Nobody can justify it. It is not justifiable. I don't care about your stance on privacy. When you are prioritizing predator, abuser, criminal privacy over child safety, what's wrong with you? I mean, have you heard a single credible argument for their position to not do anything about it?
No. What they say is, if we start looking for this, then people are going to pressure us to look for other things. And I'm like, yeah, too bad. Doesn't mean you have to.
Cue the violin.
Say no.
Yeah, let me
just
cry.
Like, I'm so sorry for you. People are going to pressure you. Like, it doesn't. It doesn't. Well, I guess, and that's part of the. No, I think something that is interesting and important to say is privacy is important.
Yes.
And it's funny because I feel that even now more than ever, like, as an activist in this space, right? Like, I I'm in battles with a bunch of big companies. Like, they're probably also trying to come after me. Like, I am trying to protect my information. I'm trying to make sure that my family's safe, my data's safe, all of those things. The thing that's fake is the idea that can't be real, and we can do this work of detecting known child sexual abuse content. That it's the putting them up against each other and saying these two things are at odds is the false
Yes. Narrative.
setup.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
And I think that, so I and there have been a few times too where whatever, certain stories are blown up of like, this is gonna, they're gonna come after your baby in the bathtub photos. I would actually love to address this here, because the baby in the bathtub fear of like, oh, it's like all naked pictures of my kids in a pool, and like, it's not that. We're talking about known, verified child sexual abuse material, that many other companies, in fact almost all outside of Apple, do a level of detection above what Apple does. So this is like the fundamentals of this space, is that you detect known, verified, like you were saying, like illegal, traded by people who possess like usually lots of child sexual abuse material. Like, that's what we're talking about. And so, by the way, by saying you were going to do something and not doing anything, you basically like advertise to people that you can have it on your phone and in iCloud, and it's going to be fine and undetected. And the other crazy thing to think about is, if they did detection and they weren't allowing people to share it, especially, how would that reduce the amount of it online as a whole, right? Like, if we could block it at that level again, before it gets uploaded into the apps, before it gets unleashed onto the open web and even the dark web, like, that's really where you could stem the tide and like close the funnel on. And so that's also why it's just so frustrating. But so I just always want to make sure that I do say I believe in user privacy. Privacy is really important. It doesn't have to be at the expense of child safety. That is a lie, and we need to keep pushing them on that.
Agreed. And this became even more real to me when we launched the Bark smartphone for kids, and our amazing engineering team designed it so that if a child goes to take a nude selfie or video, it won't even save to the device.
Yes.
Won't even save to the device. If we at Bark, a company that does not generate as much revenue as Apple, nowhere
Right.
near,
Yeah.
can do that, they can do that too.
100%.
And it's wild that they don't. Um, I was gonna ask, what's the one thing parents would be shocked to know about big tech's motives and strategies? To me, I think it's the iCloud thing. The continued every single day, every single hour. They could stop the abuse of children, and they are actively deciding not to. Is there anything more shocking than that, or some other kind of tangential stories you could share?
Yeah, I appreciate that. For me recently, it's been thinking about the internal calculus happening at a lot of these companies of like, how much harm we, the public, and we parents can tolerate,
Mm-hmm.
basically, before it becomes a real problem. So like you said this before, right? But if there was like any other product that killed a kid, like, you get the immediate recall, everybody looked warning signs. And I, especially as like more and more of these lawsuits happen, you read the conversations happening of like, well, we know it harms kids, but it's only this much, and then it's like, how many kids have died, and like, they're like, well, proportional to the hundreds of millions of users, if only 50 kids die, like, that's not that many. And it's just like, how is this even a conversation? I think that would shock people, because especially tech kind of sold itself on like, tech for good, like being this positive force. And I just want to say, like, it can be a positive force, and also kids can still be extremely technically savvy and not own a phone or like a device themselves, right? Like, we're not saying kids aren't going to learn how to code. We're not saying they're not going to learn how to like live in 2025 and use technology. So it can be a positive force, but when you really start pulling back the, you know, kind of the blinders or the whatever on these conversations at the tech companies, honestly, they mirror that of big tobacco, of other companies before who saw younger generations as future customers primarily, getting them in the system, locking them on the product, getting their full attention and addicted to it, and then that secures that revenue for the rest of the time. And I think to hear people talk about it that way is the shocking thing. And to your point, that's also happening at Apple because they're suppressing a lot of the conversation that could be happening around all the good they could be doing, and then they're completely bypassing the idea that, like, and it's such a missed opportunity too, like creating a product that was which is why, you know, Bark and other companies have seized that opportunity, like way to open the door for other people to walk right through it, because people want a safe device for their kids, and Apple really missed an opportunity.
It's not just Apple, it's Meta,
Yep.
um, Snap as well.
Yep.
Would you say those are the three that your organization is primarily working to just lift the veil, right? People deserve to know the truth.
Yes. Yes. I think those are the ones that we've found have, for now, it's a combination of still like egregious negligence in regards to child sexual abuse, and then
Right.
paired with other harms, and the pervasiveness of the use and its embeddedness in our society. It's like that those three companies are kind of at the top of the list, but the model of putting pressure on companies in this way, we hope will extend even well beyond our
Yes.
own work, and other people will pick it up, and other people are picking it up, like
Yes.
impact litigation, and all these tactics are being used to hold other companies to account.
I'm really seeing Roblox be under fire now. It is picking up steam. Any comments you want to make about that? Any work you're looking to target to highlight the things that are happening on that platform, or too early?
No, I mean, I follow your work on it, honestly. And also, I've also seen some of the litigation. And I think it just goes back to the same sort of hubris around, like, oh, we should connect everyone and we should just create worlds where everyone goes, and not the thoughtfulness and the, honestly, like, reality check of, like, kids and adults don't always belong in the same spaces. I feel like I heard this from you, but I'm always repeating to people, like, if you're ready to go, like, drop your kid off in the middle of Times Square at 2 a.m. and just
Yeah.
be like, go hang out, then you're ready for them to go on Snapchat or Roblox or whatever. Like, that is the equivalent, right? So I think that work is really important. And I think I do feel like, I'd be curious if you feel this way. I do feel like at least parents are really starting to pick up on online environments that have a chat feature with
Hmm.
like strangers is like a
Yes.
pretty hard no right out of the gate.
They are picking up on that fact, but it's almost like when you're trying to cut sugar out of your diet, if that's important to you, and you realize all the places that sugar exists, parents are still not aware of all the places where chat exists.
I
So
see.
it's we're still in the discovery and education empowerment phase. Which leads me to another question, which is just what has been the hardest part about fighting against big tech?
Yeah. Something that was kind of unexpected, actually. So with Apple, we had this concept of, because you know, Apple is really famous for their billboards, like taken on an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to do kind of a play on that, taken on an iPhone, stored in the cloud, and the insinuation. Obviously, we weren't going to show child sexual abuse material, but it's
Right.
kind of like the idea was like shot at an iPhone, and then we're going to hide this
Hmm.
horrible abuse in the cloud.
Yeah.
And so we had designed the billboards and all this, and the message had changed a little bit. But anyway, we went to go put up these billboards in the Bay Area, and we couldn't get a single billboard company, basically in the United States, to sell us the space, because Apple is the largest out of home purchaser of billboards. So no one wants to piss them off. And so no one would sell us a billboard, like none of the main companies. Um, so all of a sudden we were like, I didn't appreciate how much power the companies have in terms of the messaging channels, like where you can get the message actually out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that this drove us to look at like driving trucks, and we've flown planes, but it immediately also sort of makes you look like activisty, which there's nothing wrong with that, except that the level of like sophistication of the strategy and so forth, we really wanted that to come through, that this wasn't sort of like slapdash, like we have really thought about. And the challenges in corporate America, it's all connected, and so when you're trying to buy commercial space or whatever, it's interesting how much big tech actually has a say. And this is gonna be an issue with Meta and Snap,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially during like the lawsuits and trying
Yes.
to persuade people that they're of good faith. And so I do worry about us not being able to get the message out. And that was something unexpected. All the things of like the issue, carrying it, the burden, all that, like none of that's been that for me is like motivating. But more like the frustration is just like yelling into the, what is it, like canary coal mine thing. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah, or just
changing. It's changing.
I have a similar story. We were gonna put up some billboards in a
Oh,
certain area
interesting.
of the United States. One of the messages we were testing was friends don't let friends buy their kids iPhones, and the billboard company said we can't run this. And I was like, okay, I see where your allegiances lie. So that's one thing. Yeah, it's so frustrating. But then also, what
Interesting.
you were talking about is just it's one thing, and I understand, given the nature of the internet, to be wary of conspiracy theories. There's a
Right.
lot of things that we may wonder about, not quite have all the facts about, and you really don't know where the truth lies. It's usually
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah.
But with the issues that you're raising, they are based on facts and data. So, like, I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
Like, it's.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that, because so actually just one step further, that's so interesting about the ads, and we should connect because
We
there's
should.
definitely a story there. But the
Mm-hmm.
where we actually landed was child sexual abuse is stored on iCloud. Apple allows it. So that
Yep.
was the factual message that we ended
Yes.
up. And the reactions that we get to that are like, this is a political ad. We're like,
It's like,
what?
no, it's just
Like
a
this is
fact.
like a literal fact about their policies. I want to just like shout out credit to the New York Times, because we ran a full bleed ad of that in the back page of there, and we sent them the data and the information, and they were like, you're right, and they ran it.
Wow.
And there have been other instances. LA Times did the same. So I do feel like, you know anyway, that's just to say there it is possible. It was just so unexpected that that would be the thing that we're up against, right?
It's nice to get those wins because
Yeah.
they put fuel in your tank, wind in your sails. Enough
Yep.
of the euphemisms.
Right.
That leads me to my next question, which is, what is your proudest moment so far as the founder of Heat Initiative? I know those are up there, but
Yeah.
anything you'd like to say about that?
Um, Thank you for the question. There's so many proud moments that I have. A few that come to mind that really stand out. One was when we interrupted the iPhone launch last September in New York City.
Yes.
So this is
Yes.
when it's like, actually put in the store. Tim Cook was there. Phil Schiller was there. Deidre O'Brien was there, and they saw us. Like they saw, and
Yeah,
they were like
you
not
couldn't
happy.
miss.
Yeah, you couldn't miss. And we had our signs that just said same,
Yeah.
new phone, same dangers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but we were very respectful. And anyway, we were holding our signs in front of this whole thing happening, and a mom and her like 8-year-old son walked by, and she paused, and they like read the sign together, and she was talking to him about it. And I was like, this is, for me, this is what it's all about, because it's creating a conversation within a family. It's also like not scary. It's again reintroducing this idea of peaceful
Mm-hmm.
protest,
Mm-hmm.
and that it, and inviting people in to engage with it. So that was a really powerful moment for me, especially because the Apple people who we were talking to, who were trying to get us to go away, were like, you know, we really respect that you're so we thank you for being so respectful often, but like this is a parent problem. Like that's what they said to us. This is a parent problem. This is a parent problem, and it was almost like they were like reading back from like a bulleted email that had gone out saying like, when
From
approached with these problems, say this, you know?
That's the
And
most ignorant statement they could
I
possibly utter.
it's a parent problem. And it's just like, were parents in charge of like sewing seatbelts into cars? Like, we're
No.
literally talking about the basics here, guys. Like, no.
Yeah, that's it's just unacceptable. It's PR speak. I know it. I know PR speak very well. This is just not okay. What's next on the horizon for Heat Initiative? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot cooking. But I think you mentioned Snap.
Hmm.
Um, just in the last like year or so, I've had the privilege of getting to know so many of the families whose kids have um, uh, passed away from bad, fentanyl pills on
Hmm.
Snapchat, and really understood and been like my eyes have been open. Like I knew about the sextortion issue, which is huge and remains on Snapchat
Yes.
in a big way. But when I really started to understand the level of negligence around just key features within Snap and like the refusal to change them and what that's meant in terms of real lives and loss of life, like the fact that I was standing in New York City alongside two families, one of whom the drug dealer had sold a pill laced with fentanyl to their child, say 2023, and then a year and a half later, this other family's child passes away from a pill from the same drug dealer. And you're like, why the, excuse my French, F is that drug dealer on the platform still? There's no, so like when Snap became aware that this person sold this kid this drug, like why, how did they not keep them off forever? Like it's so maddening. And I think for the families too, it's like the idea that others have gone through this before and then it still happens is like just adds a layer of pain. So all of that to say, Snap is there. Snap is on the list. You heard it here first. Breaking news. But yeah, it's unfortunately, as you know more than anyone, it really is about like there's so many ways we could go. But for us, it's about bringing this practice of direct action and corporate campaigning and impact litigation. So hopefully others too will pick up other targets and move with us.
We absolutely will. What what can we do? What can Bark do? What can I do? What can everybody watching and listening do to help the Heat Initiative? How can we get involved in your efforts? We help to protect over 7.5 million children across the nation through our tech stack, software and hardware. I started a Facebook group that has 640,000 parents in it and parenting in a tech world. I'm on social media as much as I can stomach to, educate and authentically connect with others, but admittedly, I don't really love being there, but I use it
Yeah.
for its purpose. But anyway, what can we do? How can we help? Because we are bought in.
Thank you. Yeah. Um, you are doing so much amazing work already, even just telling me more about who you're reaching. It's so exciting. Okay, here's what you can do.
Okay.
I would ask that everybody listening would go to heatinitiative.org and sign up for our campaign updates, because that's where we'll send out to like, we need you to sign this petition. We need you to, make this phone call. To a legislator or some other person of influence. So that is a great place to get the campaign updates. That really matters because one of the things that Apple said when they rolled back the decision in 2021 was that they specifically said that parents were not calling for this change, that they don't even like want it or whatever. And so that showing them that we do want it and we do care really matters. And there's also a cool function on our website where you can email, it's like the top 20 execs at Apple who are responsible for these child safety changes, and your email is anonymized, but you can send an email to them saying that you want them to make the changes. I didn't get a chance to say this, but the 3 things that we're asking Apple to do is add a report button in iMessage, which is like literally asking somebody to put a stoplight at a major intersection. Like
Right.
it is the bare bone safety feature of a messaging platform that kids
Yes.
use. So
Yeah.
report an iMessage, detect known child sexual abuse in iCloud, and fix the App Store are the 3 demands that then you send this email to the Apple execs saying that you want them to do these things. So that is the most concrete way that people can help us on that campaign and in the current fight. And then the other thing I would just say, and I'm sure you find yourself saying this a lot, is pick like 1 or 2 people who you know are making these decisions soon for their own child about, oh, should I get them the phone? Should I get, and figure out a way to proactively share just some of these nuggets with them, just to put the seed in their mind, like that maybe this isn't the right path, or my feeling of not wanting to give my kid the phone at age 13 is like my instinct to not do that, that we can validate that for them.
Right.
And say,
Trust your gut.
and have this conversation. My like proudest moment is that my neighbor who has teenagers was thinking about giving access to the teenagers, giving them access to Snapchat, and had like a conversation with me, and then came back a week later and was like, they're not getting Snapchat. And then they came over and she was like, this is the lady who told me that you can't have it. And I was like, don't do that because they'll hate me. But that, now I know those kids aren't on there. Like that is a win, you know? So even one conversation can be huge because we're literally talking about like safeguarding people. It's not about being judgy, or like think of it like these are human lives that are at risk, and you're helping to protect them by just being willing to talk about it.
You're protecting the mental and physical health of children. You are saving lives.
Yes.
By delaying access and choosing safer tech, because tech is a tool. It's neither good nor bad, but it can be used for very bad. It can harm, and the people in the positions of power to make tech safer are currently not doing it. And until they do it, as long as there's air in our lungs, we will be raising that flag and showcasing data and facts, not opinions, data and facts to back that up and hold them accountable. You mentioned in your 3 things, and we didn't talk about this, but quickly, you said fix the App Store. For parents who don't understand that the App Store needs to get fixed, what do you mean by that when you say that?
Thank you, yeah, for that. My message to parents about the App Store is the age ratings are all completely made up and don't mean anything. So,
so
no,
ridiculous.
I mean, I wish I was joking, but I'm not.
I know.
Like it doesn't. They're just literally like looking at it for like a few minutes of like what it's supposed to be used for versus what it ends up actually being used for, and slapping a thing on it. And I mean, there were Notify apps that were originally rated 4+ that were in the App Store before people like made Apple aware, did Apple's job for them and told them actually these apps need to be. So the biggest thing is don't trust the App Store ratings. Beyond that, there's a whole other host of things Apple could do around essentially like creating a phone that signals I am owned by a 15-year-old, therefore curating more of the world that they can interact with like what apps actually are appropriate for a 15-year-old, and maybe also not allowing for them to download very seriously dangerous apps like some of the like fringe dating apps, or like just stuff where you go on and it is like cesspool level, or kicking those apps off the App Store. So that's what we mean by fixing the App Store, is honestly just like coming up with an actual plan and age ratings that parents could even remotely rely on.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll never forget when my son was younger and he would say, Mom, can I get this app? It's rated 4 plus. And if I was busy, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Because I thought, surely Apple has to have some standards for vetting the uploading of apps to the App Store. Surely they have a team that reviews content and accessibility. And they just, I could go create a cartoon based pornographic content app, upload it to the App Store, say it's 4 plus without a problem, and expose a bunch of children. So, yeah, Apple needs to fix that in addition to a lot of other things. So, yeah, Apple, do better. And I will also say, too, full disclosure, these are Apple
Yep.
Air. Like, I'm
Yep.
talking to you from a MacBook. I use
Yep.
Apple devices. I'm wearing an Apple Watch. Like,
Yep.
there's a lot that I love about Apple. The design,
100%.
that like they've changed the world in a lot of ways for good.
Yes.
So this isn't anti-Apple. It's anti-Apple practices and some of them, and it's just a you can do better. You have a decision to make. You can be a true global leader in terms of we're going to do what's right for humanity, or you can go the unfortunately typical big corporate route of plausible deniability, turning your head, not my problem, and go drift off on your yacht and not care about all the kids that are being abused on your platform. So just do better, Apple.
I love that. Yeah, I say it all the time. Love the product, not the policy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so outside of going to the website, heatinitiative.org, which we will drop everywhere. Make sure you are signed up for those campaign updates. Um, Take action, please. You can also donate, right? You take donations.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Because in order for you to continue to do the work, that takes funds. So if you're able to and you're listening, please go donate to the Heat Initiative. Um, Sarah, is
Thank
there
you.
anything we did not cover today that you are like, every parent needs to know this?
Hmm. Well, one, I just would be remiss if I didn't thank you again for the work that you're doing because there were not many people talking about Apple a few years ago when we started this, and you were one of the few who really, truly, who not only understood it, but like you said, backed by data and information and experience, had sort of seen what we saw and
Yeah.
knew what we knew, and you were willing to say it a long time ago when it was not a popular thing to say. And I actually want to um, have us both recognize how much that conversation has changed in the last few years. That people, before it was like saying something to an ivory tower, now people
Right.
are questioning them and
Yeah.
are saying, well, maybe they're not making these right decisions. And look, it's so that's progress, right? Like we want them to make the change, but that is progress. I guess that's one of the things I would ask for is like it's going to take patience and resiliency. Like this is not going to be an easy fight. It's going to be a long fight, and helping us have the grit to go the distance
Mhm.
against these companies is a real thing. um, I think you said it. The thing with me with parents right now is really like trusting your instinct
Mhm.
about that this doesn't feel easy, or if there's an unease to it of the kids and the phones, and that you're onto something, because they get it. Kids get it. Like my own kids now are like, these companies are trying to get you addicted and take your money. Like, and it's remarkable how much they actually can own the issue, right? And a lot of the young people who are leaders now in our field, in our space, are the most compelling speaking on this because
Yes.
they've experienced it. So trust them and tell them why. Tell them actually why you're
Yes.
not giving it to them, not just like you can't have it. Like trust them with that knowledge, because I find they internalize it and actually then they get it, and then
Yes.
they're way more equipped versus just like you can't have this now until you're this sort of random age, you know?
Right. Totally. Absolutely. Helping children understand the science behind your brain, the
Yes.
stimulation, the dopamine spikes, the algorithms, the addictive design of any device. Showing them the
Yeah.
the news reports of what Apple did and didn't do. can help explain it's not my job as your parent to always make sure you're happy. It's my job to sure you're safe and protected, which is why I don't let you have ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
And it's why I'm going to delay your access to
Yeah.
certain things until your brain and your heart are ready.
They get it. They get it. So
Yeah,
trust
they might not
trust
like
them.
it,
They
but they
might not
get it.
like it, but
Yeah.
they really get it. I love that.
And they'll respect you a lot more for it. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, you have important things to do,
As do
and
you.
and children to protect, and a life to live. So I'm gonna let you go and just say thank you, thank you, thank you. You know that you have allies in the entire team at Bark, and just say the word. We're here to back you up.
Thank you so much. It means the world to me that I got to come on and talk to you about all this, and I feel the same way about you and the work that you're doing. So this has been so much fun. Thank you.
Everybody, go check out theheatinitiative.org. Sarah Gardner, go crush it.
Yeah, turn up the heat.
Woo!
Go. Okay.